Testing, testing. Got one of these cool little mics. Hopefully that works well. God, it's bright. Okay, welcome to part whatever of working on selling the house. So I'm doing various things to make it look nicer. Today I'm going to be paneling these doors. This is a really nice solid door that is the closet door for under the stairs. And it's just dated and very plain. So I'm going to be adding some panels to it in the shaker style. So yeah, follow me along on that journey. I need to put on some sunscreen. I'm going to show you how I figured out all of the measurements for this project. So the first thing you're going to want to do is figure out what type of panel door you want to make. The one I'm going to be doing is this 5-panel door. So what I've done is broken it up into pieces that will fit together. So we've got these 2 long pieces and then all of these middle pieces. So the goal will be to find out the measurements of each of these pieces separately, but then also the measurement of each of these white spaces. So the first measurement that we need is the actual door measurement. So you're just going to measure the height and width of your door minus 79 3/8 by 24 inches. Let's start figuring out these pieces one at a time. Okay, so this is just personal preference, but I think 4 inches is a good width for each of these panels, and I think that looks right for the design. So starting with these long pieces on the side, I'm going to start a cut list over here to the left, and I know that this board that I'm going to cut will be 4 inches wide, and now I know that it extends the entire height of the door, so it's going to be 79 3/8 tall. So now I know I need a 4 inch by 79 3/8 inch board for this side piece. And I know I need 2 of those. And so that takes care of those pieces. So next I'm going to do this bottom piece right here. And this is another just personal preference, but I like for that bottom panel to be wider. So I'm going to have it be 8 inches. Since my door height is kind of an odd fraction, I'm just going to add that on to the height of this area just to make the measuring easier later. So I'm going to make this cut for this board be 8 3/8 inch tall. So the next question is, how do we know how wide this piece needs to be? Well, so we're going to take the total width of our door, which we know is 24 inches, and now we already know that these side pieces are 4 inches each. So we're just going to minus those. We're going to take the 24 inches minus those 4 inch pieces, and we get 16. So we know that this middle piece needs to be 16 inches. That bottom piece is 8 3/8 inches by 16 inches. And since we figured out that middle section is 16 inches, we now know each of these pieces will also be 16 inches wide. We know that all of our panels are going to be the 4 inches wide, so we already know that top to bottom these are 4 inches, and now we know that they're 16 inches wide. So we've got a 4 by 16 cut, and we know that we need 5 of those for each of these. So here comes the tricky part, because we have all the measurements of all these pieces, but how do we lay them out? Because if you just try to do this by eye, things can get wonky real quick. So we need to calculate the measurement of each of these spaces so that we know how to lay them out evenly. So let's start with a fresh drawing. Our goal now is to figure out the height of just this red area. So all we have to do is take the top and bottom measurement of these panels and minus it from the total door measurement. So the total door measurement is 79 3/8. We know that bottom measurement is 8 3/8, and that top panel is 4 inches. So all of those minused from each other equals 67 inches. So now we know just this middle section is 67 inches. So the next part may not make sense initially, but it will, I promise. So remember, we're just focusing on this space. So we're going to take these 4 panels and we're going to add up how much space they're taking up. So each at 4 inches tall, we know equals 16 inches. So next we're going to take the total height measurement of just this inside space, which was 67, and we're going to minus the space that these inside panels take up, which is 16 inches. And that gives us 51. So, going back to our original drawing, Now we know that added up together, all of this white space adds up to 51 inches. Maybe this is a better way to see it. So the next thing, which we're almost done, I promise, is we're going to count the total number of spaces that we have, which is 5, and we're going to divide our total height of space, which we know, remember, was 51, and we're going to divide that by 5 spaces, and that gives us 10.2. So now we know each of these spaces is 10.2 inches tall. Just as a refresher, to go through our cut list, we have 2 pieces at 4 inches by 79 3/8, so those are our side pieces here. We have 1 piece that's 8 3/8 by 16 inches, that's our piece here. And then we have 5 4 by 16 inches, and those are our pieces here in the middle and the top. And now we know that each of these inside spaces is 10.2. And that's important because once you lay this top one down, you can measure 10.2 inches down. That's where you place the next one. 10.2 inches down. That's where you place the next one, and continues. So hopefully this made sense. This is how I figured it out, but you can use this same system, so to speak, for any type of paneling that you want to do. You just kind of have to sit and do the math and figure it out, but it'll make a huge difference in the end. So this is the plywood I got to work with. You can see, hopefully, it's very thin. I think it was a 1/4 inch. It might actually be a little thinner. It's not the best quality, but it was, I think, $26 for a 4x8 sheet of this. And so far, I think that this should be able to do 3 sides of a door. So it definitely seems worth it. It has a nice front-facing edge that is a lot less work for prepping once you're trying to sand and paint. I've got all of my pieces cut, and I have given everything just a very light sand because we're gonna have to sand a lot later. The next step, before you just start putting everything down, is one of your trim pieces is going to go on this outside edge, which means it's going to cover up this hole. So we need to drill a new hole. The easiest way I've found to do this is just to get things lined up, and then all we're going to do is make a mark on the inside. You've got your hole. I've got this handy attachment for specifically such a job. We're just gonna go for it. Boom, hole made. I'm gonna need to get me a tool belt. I'm not just putting everything in my pockets. Make sure these are clean. It's not a very fun look, but you gotta do it. And we're gonna start just laying out our pieces. So now we're adding some glue. You wanna add enough for it to be covered, but you don't wanna add so much that it's gonna squeeze through when you press it. And we're also still gonna nail it, so you don't have to worry too much about getting perfect coverage with this glue. Setting it right in the corner of the door. And then I'm going to come down to this side. Okay. Now, is that overkill? Yes, most definitely. This is the bottom side of the door. So this is where this bigger 8-inch hole piece is going to go. And it's okay if you have some gaps. I have some gaps because it's just how life goes sometimes. And I'm just gonna fill them anyway, so don't feel bad about it. You're just doing the best that you can. That's all I'm doing. Maybe you're not doing the best you can. Maybe you could do better. Okay, now we've got these pieces which, okay, those are a pretty big gap. How did that happen? I don't know. That is a pretty big gap. This is where we troubleshoot. So these are 16. Aha! These side pieces are a little smaller than 4 inches. That's what the problem is. And this one is 3 3/4. I'm wondering if this was actually a cutoff piece and I used it as a strip. That might have been what happened. But you know what? That's okay. We're gonna adapt because that is what you do. You adapt. So, with that in mind, let's see what we can do. Boy, I just really trying to make a tutorial. Just mess it all up. I mean, that's not terrible. It's not great. Let's do this, shall we? What we're gonna do is we're gonna line it up like this so that the other side is still touching here. But this way you see exactly what you need in order to fill that gap. Now let's see. Much better. It's a much better little fit. And I really feel like once we sand it, once we fill it, you won't even see these things. I'll go back to what I was doing before I was so rudely interrupted by my own shortcomings. I'm going to give everything a quick sand on all the new edges that I've made. Fix all my mistakes. Well, maybe fix is a strong word. So now the first thing we need to do, clean all this up, of course. Now what? Just leave all these pieces with their respective holes. That is smart. Smart thinking, me. Thanks. To go down 10.2 inches. And perfect. Okay, now they're all in the right spot, and now we just have to put them down. Okay, I've got this one all filled and I just need to wait for it to dry so I can sand it. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and attach all these panels on this door. Hopefully these ones, since I cut them with my new saw, hopefully these ones will measure correctly. Taking a break. Now all we have to do is sand down all of the filler we just put on, and then probably do various grits. Thank you, brain. Probably do various grits of sandpaper to make sure you get a really smooth finish for painting. And yeah, then I'm ready for painting. And then we get to put doorknobs back on, which is really exciting. I think the filler is dry, so I am ready to sand. Sorry, I was just making sure there wasn't a fly in there. Riveting content. Okay, I think it looks pretty good. We've got everything nailed on, glued on, sanded, etc. I've just wiped it down with a wet cloth to get all the dust off. And now it's time to start painting. So enjoy time lapse of that. Good morning. I'm not feeling great today, but I'm going to push through and get some work done. So this is my hallway, as you can see. This is the under the closet. No. This is the under the stairs closet, and this is the bedroom. These are both the doors that we've been working on. The next step, now that we've got them painted, is to prep the doorways for them to actually get put back. So we need to sand. You're going to have to move the doorstop just a little bit in order to accommodate your new panel door, because the panel door is actually a little bit thicker since you've added the front panels to it. This piece right here that sticks out, this is the doorstop. Your door is on this side with the hinges, and as it closes, it's going to close right up flush against this doorstop. So whenever you add any thickness to your door, like panels for instance, now your door is thicker and it's not going to fit in this designated spot. So what we have to do is we have to remove this doorstop, and we're literally just going to move it up just a tiny bit, nail it back down. That's it. The first thing you want to do if your door jamb is painted is you want to run carefully a razor or knife down the seams to make sure that you're kind of cutting that paint and caulk that has been on there. And then you're just going to gently pry it off, and you're going to save these because we're just going to put them right back on. But once you have those off, you can sand underneath the door to get a nice flat surface again, and then I'll show you how to know where to put them back. One more thing I also wanted to mention. So this closet door opens out, which means the door is sitting in front of the doorstop. So what that basically means is that if you just wanted to panel the front of, say, a closet door, and the door opens outward, then you wouldn't have to move this door jamb, because you're not adding any thickness to the back of the door. You're just adding it to the front, and the front just sticks out this way instead of this back this way. Does that make sense? I don't think that made sense. Now, if you want to do it properly, you would panel the fronts and back of every door. But for some closet doors, the doors are finally done. The hallway is painted and sanded, not in that order. I am now ready to put on some new hardware to the doors. Let me show you what I got. For the under the stairs door, I just bought this hall/closet door, but it looks really nice, and this was only 13 something. I basically did the same thing for the bedroom doors, but instead I bought this contractor pack of them. You have to make sure they say what kind of doorknob they're for, because obviously for the bedrooms and bathrooms you want them to have locks on them. This one, to buy 6 doorknob sets, was maybe it was $60. So you're getting them for around 10 versus, 14 each. And then for the hinges, I also bought a contractor pack. Okay, so I also bought a pack of these 30 hinges, but this one you get 30 of them, and I think it was $30. So that is a whole lot cheaper than buying them piece by piece, which I think the cheapest you can get one, at Lowe's at least, is like $3. Let's put on some hardware and finally attach these doors. Okay, so something I very stupidly forgot to mention or forgot to film. When I was sanding, I used my sander just to sand down this part of the edge to make it flush. And this is important because it's just such a tiny little sliver, but you need it to go in just a little bit so that your hinge can fit here. One way goes all the way flat and one way does not. You want to put it all the way flat and put it up against your door. You want to also make sure that this pin is facing upright. So you want to make sure it's flat and then put it on your door like this. Flip that up and over and then put your screws in. This is my bedroom door. So you want to think about one side has the lock and one does not. You want to make sure which way this is facing. So basically whatever way the door closes, you want it to close like this, okay? Because you want that to slide over. So that goes there. This is the inside of my door, so I know my lock is on this side, and this goes on the other side. You're just gonna line this up and stick those through just like that. Okay, so that's what's happening inside this hole. There goes my hat. Time to put the door back on. I'm going to show you my very probably not correct way to do it, which is if it's not a solid door, it's just to balance it on my foot while I put it up. Did you forget about the door stop? Because I did. In the meantime, let's go ahead and put up this closet door. I'm going to show you how I hold this door up to actually put it on its hinges. Books. That's it. That's my secret. Beautiful. We are finally ready to put the door stop back on. With the door closed, we're just going to line it back up to where it sits flush with the door. You don't want to press hard up against it, but you just want it to fit comfortably right up next to the door. And you want to make sure that the top, this top angled piece is up in the corner. Just going to start by putting a nail right in the middle. Did that bother you? I'm sorry. It's a very loud noise, I know. That is how you do a paneled door. Thank you for watching this tutorial. There's going to probably be a lot of touch-up and caulking you're going to need to do, but other than that, we're done.